What's going on, everybody? Got a request to do a video on how I got started working as a air compressor technician. It's Friday, and just a quick message also. Sorry guys, no snap-on truck video this week. I'm all the way out in Huntington Beach, and I'm on the 405 freeway, and I'm a long way from Glendora, so by the time I get back, I won't be able to see Dawn today. But back to the video. It was really simple how I got started doing this. My uncle is the lead technician for the company we are at right now. We're based in Glendora, Land's company, 438 West Carter Drive. We do everything from compressors, air dryer systems, and vacuum pumps. And there was a couple of other things we used to do but no longer do, but that's besides the point. It was really simple though. I needed a job. I finished high school. I was working at Chipotle, and I did a few other things before that. Did plumbing before, and worked on cars a little bit. But I knew right away college wasn't what I wanted to do. I was going to a trade school for water distribution. My dad wanted to try to get me a job with the city. I wasn't really too fond of that idea. I was doing the class anyways. I was doing well, but finished the class. It's like one of the better students in it, and but never went to go take the test. And but never went to go take the test because I started doing this full time. My uncle asked me if I wanted to try and work on compressors, and I had no idea what the heck I was getting myself into, or what the job was. I mean, I have an air compressor at home, and I was like, working on that kind of stuff, like, I figured out for the time, I guess, yeah, it's better than flipping chicken. Not burgers, flipping chicken. Let me tell you what, if you're the guy that cooks grill at Chipotle, your job sucks. I know it fucking did for me. And the biggest benefit was getting to eat all the food really fresh, and it's super good. I don't miss that. But you know, I have a compressor. I thought that's what I was going to be doing, is working on these little things from Home Depot and Lowe's and Harbor Freight and stuff like that. And when I saw how big these machines are, I was like, whoa. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, and you know, I didn't touch a wrench for a long time. I was sweeping floors, mopping floors, organizing guys' trucks, organizing the shop, cutting buckets with oil, because we got our buckets, and you know, they're made out of plastic, but there'll be oil residue. We can't throw that away, obviously. So what we do is we cut it in half, clean it out, and then just throw away the plastic, and then get rid of all the waste product environmentally, in an environmentally safe way, from another vendor that we pay. But I kind of started old school. I know, like, you know, I've seen other videos where mechanics talk about how to get started as a mechanic way back in the day, and you know, the process was you found a shop that was willing to take you in and teach you from the ground up. And that's basically what happened to me. I've been taught from the ground up, as well as self-taught to a degree. And I'm more self-taught now than I ever was before. And then about a few months after just, you know, doing bitch work around the shop, I started to go out with an older guy. His name was Glenn. And that guy knew his shit. I mean, he knew compressors left and right, up and down, especially when it came to electrical. That was his bread and butter, and that's my bread and butter now, because he basically became my mentor and a friend as well. Sadly, he passed away of cancer, and it was kind of a big blow for the company, because now we kind of lost somebody that couldn't diagnose too much. And I had rode around with him for about a year and a half, and he taught me a lot. And honestly, guys, I would not be in the position I'm in today if it were not for this man teaching me everything he knew. And the guy was really, really old school. He was 58 years old. He was really old school. When the owner's son finished high school and was going through college and still working for the shop, and even when he was riding around with them, he didn't even like him, and, you know, not because, you know, he's the owner's son or anything like that. I mean, our boss is a pretty cool dude, and there was just so many things that Glenn opened up and told me about and explained to me the way systems work and how everything's connected. And, you know, when you see this problem, you know, don't let it fool you. It's not this, it's actually this, or, you know, it could be this, things like that. He's never opened up, from what everyone has told me, he's never opened up to anybody ever but me, and actually sat down and explained to me. And then, you know, I got these little assignments around the shop. So on old compressors that came in, you know, someone wanted to get rid of one, and, you know, just didn't really want to take the time to take it apart or whatever, and just said, oh yeah, take it with you, take a look at it. If it's worth keeping, let me know, and maybe we'll talk some numbers. And some guys just say, oh, just trash it. The ones where they say, oh, just trash it, they let me work on them. And sometimes I'd fix them, sometimes I wouldn't, if it was just, you know, too long gone. And sometimes I'd fix it. And they say, oh, how'd you learn this? I'd be like, well, Glenn taught me. They're like, what do you mean Glenn taught you? They're like, Glenn don't teach. I'm like, well, he's been teaching me. And, you know, and I started telling my boss and my boss's son, who was the service manager at the time, they're like, he's really teaching you all this stuff? And I'm like, yeah, he's really been teaching me and explaining everything to me. And this guy's Glenn was in the industry for a long, long time. Really, real long time, guys. I mean, 20 plus years. And before he did that, the guy worked on cars. And a lot of the people who work in this industry did other things. And I don't know how other shops do it, but our shop, we're a real knit family, basically. Everybody I work with, we all know each other, and we don't just see each other at work. I mean, we have company parties on a pretty regular basis, where our boss will host a party at his house, or he'll take us all out somewhere and set up an event. I hang out with other guys from the company outside of work sometimes. So we're all really close with each other. And the way that everybody at our company has been hired, you know, some of the technicians are salesmen's sons, are friends of other technicians, relatives like me. You know, my uncle has two of his nephews, me and one of my cousins, working with them. So we're all pretty close with each other. We all kind of know each other, and it's pretty cool. Being more than just co-workers, you kind of become a little family, especially in a small company. You know, there's no hiding from your mistakes. You know, everybody's shit is laid out on the table. You know, not personal problems wise, I mean, you know, work problems. You know, you can't really hide from things you've done wrong. But you know, I kind of digress. But after a year and a half of riding with Glenn, his cancer he got stage 4 cancer, and there was no coming back from it. He was too sick to do anything, and he went on workers' comp and left, and eventually he passed away. And when he passed away, I actually carried him at his funeral alongside with his brothers and with his best friend. And it was really funny because, you know, at the funeral they told me, like, oh, you're Benny, you're the one that Glenn always talked about. And I was like, really? The guy talks about me? I'm like, huh, gay. But I kind of understood why. I think the guy just wanted someone to take on what he's learned, and just never let his legacy die in a way. It was kind of weird when he passed away. We found out after the fact that he had kids, and he never told me about his kids. And not even my boss, after having him for, it was like 16 years he worked with the company. You know, even he didn't know he had kids. And, you know, I knew he had a girlfriend. Nobody else in the company knew he had a girlfriend. A couple of them, actually, to be honest. Yeah, he was a 58-year-old dude, but he was a player. And just got to my last stop, guys. But where was I? Yeah, after he passed away, I really had some big shoes to fill, and they started sending me out on troubleshoot calls left and right. And I kind of took I took Glenn's death as a blessing in disguise. And I mean, I was kind of devastated when he passed away, because I never got a chance to say goodbye to him. I talked to him a week before he passed away on the phone, and you know, the guy sounded just fine. He told me he was doing great, and you know, he didn't sound sick or anything. He was making periodic stops into the shop and, you know, come say hello and whatnot and see what's been going on. And then I got a call one Sunday night that he passed away. But you know, I started getting sent out to all these different calls, and I just really focused on everything that I was taught. And I was trying not to get emotional right now about the whole situation, but I mean, I really owe a lot of what I do to him. But majority of this work is on the job training, a large majority of it. We do go to manufacturers training, but it's kind of bullshit, to be really honest with you guys. It's real bullshit. You can learn a lot in manufacturers training. I'm still going to different manufacturers for training. My company sends me out to do those types of things. They're making a lot of investments in me to better myself as a technician in the field. And you know, there's really not a whole lot I can explain about how I got into this field. I mean, I have an uncle that did this job. He has a very well-known name in the industry for our area. I mean, if my uncle left this place, he could pick up a job at any other distributor easy. That's how well known he is. And my goal is I want to be the same way. But you know, the real way I know guys get in is you got to know somebody to get into this field, and it's a wonderful field. There's a lot of politics involved when it comes to the compressor industry, though. You know, in terms of territories, the way the pay scale works, and you know, the way problems can fall back on the technician, and the way problems fall back on salesmen, and you know, overhead and everything. There's a lot of politics involved, but as long as you're on top of your shit, it's an awesome job to do, and the possibilities are somewhat endless. You can be limited by the company you work for. I know there's some places that are real small. You know, they're, you know, a two-man show, and there's only so many customers they can tackle on. From the time I started till today, our company has really grown and is making a lot of advancements, and I really like seeing that. You know, I kind of feel like I'm playing for the underdog, and you know, every year the company's going up and up, which is really good. We're picking up guys, we've dropped guys, and we've lost guys, and but we got a really good team of guys in the company right now. If I remember correctly, we got a total. We got about 9-10 technicians in the field, which I don't know how many that is compared to other companies out there, but that's a good amount. 11 technicians, and we have some guys that will come and go that we use for certain types of work. I know our install guy, he has some buddies that will do plumbing with him when he's doing large warehouses, stuff like that. But I mean, if any of you are interested in getting into this field, you definitely would want to know somebody. If you're somebody that has worked on cars, worked on motorcycles, if you're a licensed electrician, if you've worked on HVAC equipment, elevators, there's other guys out there too. If you know, those are all other trades that are really similar to what we've done. I mean, even if you've been a plumber, before, you know, it's not very hard to wire up a compressor, a 3-phase motor to start. You know, because you only got really 3 wires and 1 conduit line. The electrician will do everything else for us. And if you're good at plumbing and you can, you know, you can measure and make sure shit is nice and straight. You know, you can put a compressor down, anchor it, put the dryer in place, and plumb everything up and plumb a building. Even if you're a plumber, you're gonna be good for installs. You know, I'm not our install guy, but whenever we do swap outs, like if we got to swap out a tank that's rusted out on the inside and it's a liability because it can be a bomb, or if we have a customer that wants to swap out a compressor or swap out a dryer, rather than send our install guy who really does entire installs, I'm the second best guy when it comes to plumbing. For that kind of stuff, I'll be sent out to do it because I got that plumbing experience. So things like that, guys, there's not any real certification that comes along with it. You'll get certifications from manufacturers, but honestly, it's bullshit. It really is. You know, like I just finished a certification for Beco air dryers, and that was a 2-day course, and it's really informative. I will say that though, it's really, really informative, but at best, that's all it is. The certification you get with it, I really doubt its weight means that much. Because, you know, they teach you a lot of things that are really informative, and they kind of, you know, they definitely open up my mind and make me go, aha, this is why this customer has this problem, stuff like that. We need to change it or fix the problem. You know, it's kind of stuff like that. But there's not a real certification, and the tests are kind of stupid too. I know for Beco, the fucking test, like, it's a multiple choice, and 3 out of the 4 questions, or 3 out of the 4 answers are right, and only 1 is wrong. If you I mean, they make it almost impossible for a guy to fail, because they want their distributors to have all their technicians certified. So it's kind of bullshit like that, but you still got to, and it's surprising me, there's still guys that fail. And if you fail one of these tests, you need to shoot yourself in the head, because you are one dumb motherfucker. If you can't answer a question, I mean, you fucking suck at guessing. Literally, you suck at guessing if you can't pass one of these types of courses. Now, you know, there's some courses like that. I know the railroad, the contractor certification license that the railroad company has us do, for Union Pacific up in San Bernardino. I know their test is bullshit as well. They want all their outside contractors to be certified, so they do the same fucking thing. Well, theirs is actually worse, because if you take a test for the railroad company to be a certified outside contractor, if you get a question wrong on the test, and it's an online test, if you get the question wrong, it forces you to go back at the end of the test, gives you the right answer, and then you just fill in the bubble. And then you click next. And I mean, guys, a lot of this, you'll never learn anything that much worth the fucking value when it comes to going to manufacturer's training. There's very few things that you kind of want to pay attention to, like the really, really technical stuff, that you really want to know. But there's so many things that are in play when it comes to compressors, and you know, like, we'll take the life of oil. A manufacturer might say, okay, our compressor oil is good for 3,000 hours. How come this oil in this compressor, will say, you know, compressor A, it's a 30 horsepower, 460 volt, 100 CFM, and, you know, I'm just throwing numbers out there. You know, how come the oil in this compressor for compressor A at customer A lasts the 3,000 hours? But how come the oil for compressor B, which is a 30 horsepower, 100 CFM, 460 volt compressor, exact same thing, how come it's only lasting 100 hours? The environment comes into play. Well, compressor A is in the mountains where it's nice and cool and it's not very hot, so the oil lasts a lot longer. But compressor A doesn't put out as much air as compressor B. Well, compressor B is down by the ocean, so the oxygen levels are much higher, but the oil doesn't last as long because it's a lot hotter, and the environment's really dirty, so the oil doesn't last as long. And, you know, it's stuff like that. That's a very basic representation of the amount of variables that come into play. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff when it comes to It's all different kinds of things, of the life of an Aaron, the life of a motor, the life of the oil, the life of an oil filter, you know, different electrical problems I've seen. You know, I've gone to some customers where I'm wondering, why in the fuck do circuit boards keep going out over here? You know, like, I go to some customers and I'm like, this is like ridiculous. I've replaced 3 circuit boards in this compressor. And then, you know, I had one where I did that, and, you know, like 2 years later, I found that there's a fucking drop. There's a leak in the ceiling that comes and drips down, and then the drip is getting right into the conduit, and then right in front of the conduit is the circuit board, and it's getting wet because the water is running off of the wire, and shit like that. You know, there's variables that come into play, and it's figuring stuff out. You know, the other video where I showed you, I did follow up with the manufacturer. I called some of the guys up at Matei, and I said, hey, I got a natural gas compressor that cut all the veins off of the Aaron. Why does that happen? Oh, well, when they're pumping up natural gas from the ground, and they're putting it, they're, you know, sucking in all the fumes, what'll happen is some moisture will come up from the ground, go down the line with the fumes, because the tanks will get hot, the moisture rises, gets into the compressor, and then boom, you can't compress water. So what happens is, when it sucks in, let's say it sucks in this much water, and we're trying to put it into a container that big, you can't do it. It's just not going to happen. There's no way you're going to compress it. So what happens? The motor's slamming against those veins. The motor keeps turning, but the veins just, they break away. So there's a lot of variables that come into play like that. But then the same thing happens with customer B, and they're not pumping natural gas. It's a standard air compressor, and there's no water in the system. And, you know, why did the veins snap off then? Well, they didn't do service for a long time. They wore the machine out. It cut a groove in the stator of the air end, and it caught the blade and snapped it right off. So there's a lot of variables that come into play. So there's really nothing of value when it comes to troubleshooting that you'll ever learn in manufacturer's training. The only thing you'll really learn is the technical stuff, the way things work. That's about all you'll learn in manufacturer's training, is just the way things work. Everything else, you got to prove yourself and figure the problems out. And you're really lucky when you got a guy that can take you under your wing the way I had it, that's been around the block and seen all kinds of problems and fix it for you and show you how to fix it. On top of that, I've got my uncle too at my disposal, and being a distributor and having the manufacturer and having you know, their technicians' phone numbers and being able to call them up, you know, from either at their work phones at their office or even on their personal lines, it's a big help, and getting helped over the phone like that. And but I'm still in the middle of going to different courses and getting certs. But really, guys, I'll be honest, my certifications are bullshit. It's all what I have figured out on my own, or what other guys have taught me, and then taking it to the next level is really what it's come down to. It's really, really old school. Is the best way I can explain it. Now, I will never touch anything that is out of my realm. I'll never touch electrical work. You know, in terms of outside the compressor, I'll fiddle with controls and things like that, and control systems. But I mean, if you're talking a breaker in the wall, a disconnect panel, things like that, I'm not touching it. That's not my field. You know, I do work on air dryers. I troubleshoot air dryers, but if there's something wrong with the refrigeration system, I'm not touching it. That's out of my realm. The same thing with that gas compressor. I told them, I don't want any gas in this system. I'm not fucking with that. I'll work on the compressor because that's what we do. And I found out later on, we are allowed to touch the compressor. We cannot fuck with the gas system at all. That's out of our realm. Things like that I will not touch. I will not do. But as long as it's on our system, we can do it. And there's no real certification for it. OSHA doesn't really have requirements for us to be certified for anything. They have a lot of safety standards that we have to abide by, but no standards when it comes to certification. I mean, I work on systems up to 480 volts, and no certifications required for it. As long as I'm not touching an electrical system outside of the compressor, then I'm all good. Alright guys, so that's pretty much it. There's a little bit of my background of this company. If if you want to know a little bit more of what goes on with manufacturer's training, then let me know. Or if there's something specific you wanted me to touch base on, then let me know as well. But like I said, I'll be quite honest, the certifications for this industry they're bullshit. There's nothing to it. A fucking monkey can get it. But and I'm not knocking my position or saying that it's easy. It's not. And it's kind of a cutthroat industry. If you don't prove yourself to a company or show you can make money, they're gonna get rid of you. And it's plain and simple. You know, my uncle got me into this company, but I had to prove myself in the position I'm in. I mean, I'm 21 years old and I drive the biggest truck in the company. I have the most expensive truck in the company. I mean, I have my truck has that special liner on it. It's got the service bed on it. I have an extended cab. I've got the pipe rack and everything. I've got a tailgate, or not, a lift gate on my truck. I mean, this truck, it was used. We've picked up all of our trucks used. We just finally bought our first brand new truck, but it's just a regular F-150 pickup that they're going to start using for small deliveries and running parts out. But, you know, the company spent $18,000 on this truck, and then they spent about another $12,000 put a brand new engine in it. I've got the most expensive truck in the company, and the biggest one at that. And the only other person that has a truck about as big as mine is my uncle, because we both drive F-350s extended bed with extended cab as well. The only difference is his doesn't have the tailgate or the pipe rack. Mine just has a pipe rack and a lift gate. And it's also a 4x4, because I got to be able to drive in the railroad companies, and as well for a coal mine company we do work for in Fraser Park, so I got to be able to 4x4 as well. And you know, so you really got to prove yourself. I mean, there's no joking around. I mean, even on our own guys, some of the younger guys in this company, I know I'm young, but I mean, I got guys that are young, but they're older than me. They're in their later 20s that I'll fucking yell at. I mean, I'm young, but my boss gives me some authority. You know, the ultimate goal that they see in me is eventually they want me to be a service manager for the company when I get older. And I've got no problems doing that. You know, I know I've said it a few times, I've got broken bones in my wrist. I've popped both my shoulders. I've got a bad knee. I've broken bones and torn muscles in my right ankle. I've hairline fractured my left heel bone. I mean, I've fucked myself up pretty bad playing football in high school, as well as, I mean, I started playing football from the age of 9, and I did football and boxing growing up, and both the sports jacked me up pretty good. And you know, I'm suffering for it now, but I know eventually I'm gonna have to quit doing what I'm doing, because it's just gonna take too much of a toll on my body. So being a service manager one day is definitely up my alley. I don't mind doing that, sitting at a desk. And I think even as service manager, I'll probably still get out there and do some work every once in a while. I know our service manager did when he was around. You know, he mostly sat at the desk, picked up phones, directed all the technicians to go somewhere. But then when there was that one customer around the corner and, you know, all the technicians were gone and no one was available for, you know, at least the next 3 hours, and they're down and they need someone now, he'd get up, put his tools in the back of his pickup truck from when he was a technician, and head out and go. I think I'll probably still do stuff like that, but not be driving around in a truck 8 hours a day and more. Alright guys, so let me know what you think about that. Again, let me know if there's something specific you want to touch basis on, because how I got started in this field, the position was practically almost given to me, and then after that, I just had to prove everything myself. And like I said, this has been 95% on the job training, and figuring it out myself, and having other guys teach me how to do stuff. And I don't know how it is in other companies. I really don't. We're a mom and pop shop. There's some other mom and pop shops out there that operate similar to us, and then there's also manufacturers out there that operate directly. They do not have distributors. So I don't know how it varies around the field. The pay scale varies depending on what you do and where you work. So, you know, you might do certain work here and you might only get, you know, you might max out pay at this amount of money, but then you work over here because, you know, they got a lot more in their budget. You know, your pay scale can really skyrocket in those kinds of scenarios. But I definitely love exactly what I do. I wake up every day and I don't feel like I'm at work. I feel like I go out and get to mess around with these machines and play with them with my toys, my tools. I consider them my toys, and my big boy toys. And you know, I never feel like I'm at work. It's just, I love the places I go. You know, my day in the life of video, you know, where I get to go up in the mountains, and that's not the only customer in the mountains I go. You know, I got Azusa Light and Power and Water, or Azusa Light and Water, up in the mountains that I go to. I got a coal mine field in Fraser Park that I get to go up to. You know, I get to go to Brink's Armored Car Service, and I get to look at, you know, fucking millions of dollars worth of money, and I don't get to pick up a fucking cent of it. Sucks. I wish I could. But I mean, different places like that I get to go, and it's just so cool. And you know, I wouldn't really want to do anything else. There's very few things out there that I would rather do than this. And I really got to get going, guys. I know this is a long one, but please like, comment, subscribe, and once again, thank you for all the views, and sorry there won't be any Snap-on truck video this week. Alright guys, so y'all have a good day, and have a good weekend. Bye.